NCAA basketball totals for Tuesday, February 28th. For you new guys, this is where we take a look at totals set by odds makers, and we try to beat that line either over or under the total. For you guys that have been around, you know we're having a pretty decent season so far, hitting about 55% of our games, all documented at SBR, which is great. So you can, it's really transparent, and I like that. Unfortunately, what is also transparent are my NBA live picks that we do on the totals, which have definitely not been good at all this season. Still, that segment is a lot of fun, and we get a lot of good feedback when we have that. So please tune into that. That's 4 o'clock Eastern on our Facebook page. Again, you guys can chime in. You can tell me I'm terrible, or you can, maybe there's a play you like you want to share with everybody, or get some plays maybe from some other guys there that are contributing. So again, it's a really good segment. So check that one out. Again, that is about totals as well, but we do talk about spreads. This segment is strictly about totals, and we're going to talk about them in just a second. I got 2 games on the card. Don't forget SBRpicks.com sportsbook review, our main page. You got sign-up bonuses there, blacklist, YouTube channel, Facebook page, all that good stuff that I like to mention before we dive in to these picks. All right, we got 2 on the card today. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. First one we got up, just 2 today. We got the early game here with Georgetown and Seton Hall. Very interesting line here. 143.5 set by odds makers, and I'm going over. Now, these two met up earlier this season with a 68-66 final with Seton Hall winning at Georgetown. But what I like about that game, and I like for this game to go over, is first of all, they could not hit a shot that game. They shot way under what they normally do. Georgetown shot 5% from distance. They were 1 of 19. So although they are on the road, I do expect them to do a little bit better than that tonight. Now, that final, of course, was well under the total set by odds makers, which was 145 in that game. So, I found it pretty interesting that odds makers, even though they've actually been under the last 3 times they've matched up, 144, 143.5, and 145, but odds makers have not blinked, and they still set this right around there at 143.5. I just expect better numbers tonight. I mean, let's take a look at that last game with Seton Hall and Georgetown. Tempo was okay. You got Seton Hall getting up 62 attempts. Georgetown got up 63 attempts, but they couldn't hit a bucket. Seton Hall shot 35.5% from the floor. Georgetown 38.1%. Seton Hall shot 27% from distance, and I already talked about Georgetown. I expect, as long as they keep that sort of tempo, they're probably going to knock down more shots tonight, and we should get over that 143.5 to break that under trend that they've got going on. A lot more statistics we can dig into, but we'll just stop right there. I kind of like this one to get over. Again, well, just real quick, let's talk about one other thing I did want to mention. Statistically on the season, you're talking about 2 teams that have been pretty efficient as far as shooting the basketball. You got Georgetown shooting 46.3% from the floor overall. That's not bad. And then you got Seton Hall shooting over 45%. So both of them can score. Defensively, pretty okay numbers on both sides of the ball, but I think we're going to see a lot more scoring than we've seen from the last 3 times these 2 teams have met up. So I'm going to back over that 143.5. All right, next one up, and the last one up we got here is Indiana and Purdue. And we're also going over the 150.5. I just cannot see these two going to as low a scoring affair as we saw the last time they matched up this season, where Purdue beat Indiana in Indiana 69-64. So, we'll take a look at that game in a second. First, let's take a look at the line here. Now, odds makers have set, we know this already, they've set some really high totals this season so far. This one, where they went under the total in that game I just mentioned, odds makers had at 155.5, and they went well under the total, but they really did not shoot very well, similar to that Seton Hall Georgetown game, and I look for them to shoot a lot better tonight. But that's a really low total for these 2 teams. They usually play to a little bit higher scoring affairs, with at least one of the teams getting up around 80 points usually. The last 3 games have been pretty low for these 2. I mean, they did score 150 just 2 games back, but the one before that was just they just reached 130. So look for this one to be a little bit more up-tempo and for them to actually knock down some shots. So let's take a look at that last game. Purdue and Indiana are both fast-tempo teams, and they both can score. But in that matchup, you had Purdue shooting just 42.6% from the floor. And when we compare that on the season, so go ahead and pull that up. Well, let's talk about Indiana too. Indiana in that game shot under 40%. So you have Purdue shooting just over 40%, Indiana shooting under 40% in that matchup. But you're talking about 2 teams here where Indiana is shooting 47.8% on the season. Purdue over 48%. So you're talking about 2 teams that can really score. And defensively, both have been pretty decent. Indiana, surprisingly so, under Tom Crean. Purdue, always about there. They're always like in the top 50 in defensive statistics. However, the tempo should be up and down tonight. As well, again, looking back at that game, percentage-wise from distance, about 30%. Tempo was okay with Indiana getting up 57 attempts. Purdue only got up 54. But on the season, I think they average, if I recall, let me pull that up, they average just a little bit more than that. Quite a bit, actually, 58.5. So, yeah, I would have been wrong. I was going to say something different. But also, with what they get up and what they allow per game, we should see something closer to the 60s as far as attempts are concerned on both sides of the ball. So look for them to get up tempo, for them to be for there to be a lot more scoring tonight with these two teams, and to get over that 150.5. And that's it. So we got two plays on the card today. We got Georgetown, Seton Hall over the 143.5. That's a really surprising number. But I think they get there, and I'm going to go ahead and back what should be a fast tempo game with Purdue and Indiana over the 150.5. Those are our two NCAA basketball picks on the totals, and I wish you luck on your picks today.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.